So about 3 blocks up the street has been my home for about 10 years now. And I lived in the same apartment for about 7 years. And it was perfect. Everything had its place, and I really loved it. But across the street was a beautiful brownstone castle. It looks like a castle. It has like turret rooms. It's all brownstone, beautiful windows. It's just beautiful. And staring across the street to that for 7 years, I was always I wanted to live there. I wanted that to be my house. And I am not a rich person by any means, but any way of getting my foot in the door was my first step in owning it. So I would see them doing work over in there, and I would go over and I'd be like, hey, let me know when you're renting an apartment or whatever. And eventually the day came and they said, hey, we're going to rent these out. And it took a few months of figuring out how we would do it, but I was going to be the first tenant in there. And I was so excited. I was getting inside of my dream home, even though it wasn't fully a home. It was an apartment within that home, but still. And at the same time, I had accepted a new job. And I was like, this is great. I'm getting the place where I live. I'm getting my dream job. I'm so excited for this. But I am always reminded when they say like death in the family or moving or starting a new job can be like some of the most stressful things in your life. And I'm like, oh no, that's no problem to move and start a new job at the same time. After being in this space for 7 years, a 2-floor, 3-bedroom apartment, no problem. It took me 4 months to move all of my things across the street. It was very, very upsetting. The whole transition of everything that I had at one point moved my bedroom furniture over into the new space, but all of my toiletries, all of my clothing was in the old space. So instead of, kind of figuring those pieces out so it would make sense, I was sleeping on like a big circular cushion. Like it was the size of like a cushion you would buy for a Great Dane. But I was fetal position every night in the corner of my living room where my couch was. I did that for probably about a month because, I wanted to be where my toiletries and my clothes are instead of moving them over. But it was a rough couple months. I got my bed finally set up, and within the first week, I like plop down and the bed breaks, and and that sat on the floor for the next 8 months. But it was something I don't have that to deal with. The job became really overwhelming. I quit the job, and that was a really great thing to happen for me because I finally was able to start putting away the boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff that like I'd just been so stressed and overwhelmed that I just sat there, and coming home every single day, I sat there and looked at it and somehow couldn't get myself to put that stuff away. But the day I put in my resignation, I finally got that stuff put away. I wasn't working. I got that stuff put away, but it was great for my mental health. And so these little things, like this montage of doing these little things, I was like, this is really going to be good. But they would always turn out really bad. I finally cooked my first meal, I think it was 6 months into living in my apartment, in the oven. I'll say the oven. I cooked some stuff on the stovetop, but the very first thing I put in this brand new oven in this apartment, the screen shatters. The big pane of glass shatters. And I love baking, and it's really sad that I wasn't doing that the whole time that I was living in in this new place. I wasn't baking, but I finally was doing it. And it shatters. I had this huge window that just shows all this light into the house, and I'm like, I'm finally gonna put blinds up because I can't sleep with that. I go to put blinds up, and a bat is in the upper window area and flies down at me. I didn't fall off the chair or anything, but it was just like, can I please get these things done? Can I please? And just within the first few months as well, I had something died in the ceiling. It just died somewhere. And I grew up on a farm, so I know if a mouse dies, you smell that for less than a week, and then it goes away. But this was something bigger, and it smelled for 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, I'll get through it, it'll go away. Apparently that thing was so big that maggots had started coming out of it and coming out through my closet ceiling somehow. And so there's maggots there, and the maggots turn into flies. So the last stretch of that like 3-week journey was just flies. It was like Amityville Horror in my house. I could not sleep without a blanket on my head because they would land on my face. So all that being said, I mean, things have calmed down a bit. Although I have central air for the first time in 22 years. Didn't go below 78 for a lot of days because I'm on the 3rd floor, but it's cooled down and it's so nice. And today I came home from a meeting and I see sitting on this beautiful brownstone stoop, I see this butternut squash, like a little fall gourd, and it looks so nice. And that's like truly like, hopefully I don't have any more problems, but that was like my housewarming gift to hopefully let me have a nice, calm time living here if my landlord doesn't raise the rent at this point. We'll see.